That fucking clicking sound again. But I'm gonna ignore it.
Not like it was.
Not as bad. Okay.
No, not I don't hear it really.
Okay, good. I know we're recording, but all right. So I'm gonna do this on my own. This is so strange. Well, hello there to all of our listeners. I am Emily White, one of your hosts for God, now somebody's fucking calling me. Let me start over. I can't fucking win. I am one of your hosts on That Wasn't the Plan. Our other host, Courtney Holland, had an emergency. She's not joining us today, unfortunately, but that's okay because we have one of the best guests in the world who doesn't need another host to have a discussion today. One of my dear friends, and I have been waiting to have her on the show for a while. Her name is Hilary Pawlik. We go back to the 8th grade. We swam together in high school. We were fast friends, and she was basically the only person that I knew when I moved out to Los Angeles. And she showed me the ropes, and we have been like nearly best friends for since the 23, almost 24 years now since I moved out to LA, if you can believe that. She's also one of the most talented and heartfelt human beings that I know.
Oh,
She's a professional dancer, an award-winning choreographer. She's worked in TV and film. She is one of the stars of the popular burlesque show, the Hollywood Pinup Girls, and the vaudeville show, Mental Head Circus. She is the founder and co-director of Artist Entrance Dance Company in Los Angeles, a pre-professional dance company where she is literally shaping the next generation of serious dancers. She is a mom to two of the most incredible little children, Landon and Aiden, and a wonderful wife. And she is frankly one of those people who kind of just does everything: dance, hiking, house construction. You can follow her on Instagram. She's got a couple accounts. She's just wonderful at everything. So, but today we're not going to talk about her beautiful life that she has curated for herself. We are going to talk about the years that she has kind of spent fighting to get her doctors to believe her. And I think a lot of women have a similar story. So, without further ado, Hilary Morris Pawlik, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me today. And now I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. I can hear you.
Okay.
Did you lose me again, Hilary? Fuck.
Can you hear me?
I don't know what's going on. I've never had this problem.
Because why would your mic crackling make the sound turn out?
I don't know.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Well, Hilary, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thanks for having
Let's
me.
do this before we have any more tech issues.
Yeah. Is Mercury in retrograde? I don't know.
My God, this has been a fucking disaster. But yeah. It's so good to see your beautiful face. How's the weather in LA?
We got the May gray thing going this morning,
Happening today?
Yeah.
It was 52 degrees here when I signed on a little while ago. So it's just cold. I'm ready for some California sun. Not that we're going to get any for another month or two.
I think it's going to be hot starting this afternoon. So,
Oh, that's nice.
quick, fly down.
Yeah, I wish I could. Well, I know you've got to split in about an hour. So this is your story, dear. I know that we brought you on today to discuss your battle with endometriosis, and I think it's been an ongoing battle for, gosh, 5-ish years and going undiagnosed for quite some time. Or has it been longer than that, do you think?
Well, I was officially diagnosed 2 years ago.
Okay.
But looking back, there were signs, many of signs. And the only way someone can be diagnosed with endometriosis at this point is via surgery. So I was officially diagnosed after my surgery 2 years ago. But then looking back after the storm that happened, there was definitely signs for many years prior.
Okay. It was cutting in and out. I'm so sorry, Hills. I've never had this issue before.
Is it better now?
Well, honestly, I don't know.
Is it still cutting out?
No, it sounds better. I think maybe the closer you are to your computer, it's a little bit better.
I wonder too if I should take, but it shouldn't be that because I wonder if it's my ear.
Try it. I'll take mine out too.
Yeah.
And
Trying to, is that
yeah,
better? Because sometimes they
that's
click.
better.
I bet they're clicking the thing.
That was it. The
Yep,
clicking
it was
sound
the
was our
clicking. It
earrings.
was the earrings. Trying to look cute. There's your
Oh my
content
God.
for social media right there. Us figuring out that the sound issue was our hoops.
I was like, what's all that clicking sound? Oh my God.
There we go.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to make note of that.
No hoops with these. That's so
No
funny.
hoops
Oh my
with the
god.
earbuds. Wow. Okay.
Okay,
So,
that explains it.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Good.
yeah, getting back on track. Gosh. Okay, so you were diagnosed with endo 2 years ago, but you had been suffering for quite some time. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I think maybe the best thing is to explain what endometriosis is because
Yes,
shockingly
please. Oh, thank you.
when I tell
Yeah.
people that I have endometriosis or I had this crazy thing happen, a lot of people and a lot of women are like, I don't know what that is. So endometriosis is when you have uterine-like lesions. So it's not exactly like your uterine lining. It's very similar. And they end up outside of the uterus. So they often end up in the pelvis. They've found them all over the body. They've found them on women's brains, women's lungs collapse because of it. And so what happens is every month when a woman has her period, you're bleeding from those lesions that are all over your body, but the blood has nowhere to go. So the blood gets trapped and causes adhesions and scar tissue. So, like, for example, when I went in for my surgery, I had multiple organs stuck together. So they don't know what
Oh my God.
causes it. There's theories, there's retrograde menstruation, but I think that one at this point is most people don't believe. There could be a bacteria, there could be gut issues. They don't know at this point. So that's what endometriosis is. 1 in 10 women has it. So, I mean, that's significant. So there are plenty of
Yeah.
women out there that have it that are like me that had no clue that they were dealing with this.
Did you have like pre-symptoms where you were like something hurts or I'm foggy or anything that may have given like in retrospect now that you were like I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling well?
So I had a really difficult time getting pregnant. I went
Uh-huh.
through all the steps through, your regular OBGYN, and then I went on to a fertility doctor who was amazing. Um, and you know what, you're Googling things and endometriosis kept coming up as a reason that someone couldn't get pregnant. So I had really painful periods. And did I have to call out from work from them? Maybe once or twice, but I could just take enough Advil and push through. And those started, I think I'd say in my 20s. So it probably had
Yeah.
started in my 20s. I
Okay.
don't know. Was I in less pain than other women that are writhing in pain and show up to the hospital? Maybe you know, pain has a psychological component. I grew up as a gymnast and a dancer, where with
Yeah.
both of those sports, you're told to push through pain because the reality is they are just painful. Dancing on point is painful, gymnastics is painful. I'm not sure. If you read about it, some people that have stage 1 endometriosis are in more pain than people that had stage 4, which that's what I had with stage 4. So it's hard to say. But when I was at the fertility doctor and I would ask, like, hey, could I have endometriosis? I was told a number of times, no, no, you're not in enough pain to have endometriosis, which looking back is like, whoa, what a,
They're kind of gaslighting you there.
yeah. And I, I guess that's why I'm here and telling the story is for women, like painful periods are not normal. And just because you're not calling out of work, there still could be an issue. And in my case, there was a big issue.
Well,
Um,
and also certain people have different pain thresholds
right.
where I've read, and I have Irish descent and a bit of red hair. I have a very low tolerance for pain. So, but somebody else, we may be cut exactly the same way and they're like, I don't really feel it and I'm writhing in pain on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Pain's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
I just listened to a podcast about pain, a different podcast about pain. And this woman had these crazy stories of this guy jumps off, working at a construction site, jumps off a 6-foot thing and a nail goes through his foot, screaming in pain, freaking out. Take him to the hospital. They take off his boot. The nail hadn't actually gone through the foot. It had gone through the 2 toes. But because visually he saw that, his body told him he was in that amount of pain. So pain is
Holy shit.
tricky. Yeah. Yeah.
Pain is that's interesting. That's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know, because sometimes, like, if you hurt yourself, if I don't look at it,
Right.
then I'm like, it's not there, it's not happening,
Yeah.
then I'm okay.
I was just gonna say, like, when you have a cut and you don't notice it, and then when you see it, it starts hurting. I think
Yeah,
we've all had that
yeah.
experience where you're like, wait, how is it not hurting before I looked at it? Because this has clearly been bleeding for at least 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. So pain isn't completely objective, I guess.
No, it's
Um,
not. It's no, not at all.
yeah. So anyways, there were indicators.
I'm sorry. I'm having a tough time, like, comprehending that your organs can fuse together and that yours had started to do that.
Yeah. So with
And
like
that's
almost
just
like a
from
glue,
blood. So it's like internal bleeding that you're having
basically.
because of
Yeah.
these lesions? Okay. And was it all in kind of the your torso area, your, internal or had it started, like, spreading
Yeah.
out
Well, it was
into
on my
limbs?
diaphragm, too. And yeah,
Okay.
I think, I don't know. Do you want me to tell the story and then talk about the symptoms that I now do
Yeah.
realize are endometriosis? Oh, that made a
Yeah, yeah,
whing when you said
please
that.
do.
Okay. So I'm still laughing that our earrings were the sound issue. Anyway. Okay. So I have a fertility issue. We end up doing IVF. There were some other problems. I had what was called or what is called a uterine septum. Haley Bieber just recently talked about having the same thing. They cut this out. It's just basically the top of my uterus was fibrous instead of soft. And so if I was able to get pregnant, I wasn't able to stay pregnant because it needs to be soft for the baby to grow. Basically, it's like planting a seed in concrete. Um, so the doctor cuts it out. I'm taking hormones and all these supplementary things, and I get pregnant with my son. And then 2 years later, we try with my daughter, and we had the same eggs or the same blastocysts available. I got pregnant right away. It was pretty easy from there. Then I have my kids, my periods hurt. There's some other stuff going on that I'll get to. And my husband is works in the film industry and was working on a TV show in Thailand. And I had been having some odd symptoms. My periods were going on and on and on. I talked to my OBGYN about it, and he diagnosed me with an endometrioma, which is, I now know to be advanced endometriosis, which wasn't really said to me at the time. So, what that is an endometriosis cyst. It's sometimes called a chocolate cyst on your ovary, and it's having its own period. Um, it was decided, let's watch this for 3 months. Relatively speaking, it's not that big. Observe symptoms. So I start having extreme pain on the right side of my body. My husband's in Thailand. I'm doing just sort of manic mom mode, like just trying to get everything done. And like, frankly, don't really have time for any of this. So I just keep taking Advil and I think, well, maybe it's just like an ovarian cyst rupture. I've had that happen before. It's pretty painful. But the difference with this was that it wasn't going away. But I could like take Advil, get through. I was feeling pretty bad. I was like, should I cancel teaching? I had to teach a class in the morning. And then I was just, no, I'll take Advil. Then I like went and took a yoga class later. I was taking my kids places and being like, God, is it cold in here? I'm shivering. So this, I think Friday was the day that I took the yoga class and taught the class and was just like pushing through the pain. Here's the theme, right? And
Yeah.
by Sunday, I was laying on the floor of my daughter's room and I'd taken a bath to try to like heat the pain. And I like was in so much pain. I felt like I couldn't get off the floor. And
Oh my
so
God.
I had her bring me my phone and I called two friends and miraculously both picked up right away, one to hang out with the kids and the other to take me to the hospital. So
Yay for
they're like,
friends.
yay for friends, yay for girlfriends.
I know.
And Colleen and Nikki.
Women make it happen.
So I go to the hospital and I'm still not entirely sure. I don't even realize that this is connected to the endometrioma. Now it seems pretty obvious, but at the time I don't know. I just hadn't put it together. And so they do a CT scan. I come in, they're like, I have a raging fever. It's like 102. And I think I'd had the fever for like days. And that's why I kept being like, it's chilly right now. They do a CT scan. They are like, you have an infection in your pelvis. They they do a pap smear, test me for STDs. I'm negative for all of those. And they're like, okay, well, we don't know what it is, but here's one bag of IV antibiotics and antibiotics to go home. So
Oh
I
my
go
God.
see an OB, and my OB, unfortunately, OBGYN had unfortunately retired in the middle of all of this. And she's like, oh, you're lucky. Sometimes people get hospitalized with this, but just take this and continue your antibiotics and we'll see. So by about 3 weeks later, fever's back. Pain is way worse than it was before. Um,
Did any of that go away, like, after you kind
yeah,
of started those
maybe a little
antibiotics?
bit. Yeah. But I was like,
Okay.
they were I wasn't well. I remember my neighbor who's a little bit older and a little bit frank was like, "Hillary, you look really tired." And I was like, "Yeah, it's the kids." And he goes, "No, I'm telling you, you look tired." Like it was, and I talked to him later and he was like, "I was trying to tell you something didn't look right with you." So I cut to the few weeks later. I'm like, okay, my fever's raging. I get to the hospital. I have my um a tenant who's family friend living in the back. She takes me to the hospital. His friend gets my kids to school and they do an ultrasound and they don't even need to do a CT at this point. The endometrioma is now the size of a baseball. Um
Holy shit.
and I have fever, I have sepsis. They're like, we're admitting you into the hospital. My husband's in Thailand. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm calling my mom, having the mom come out. Again, female friends, family friends, everybody, friends are taking the kids after school. Babysitter, longtime former student, she's basically like family, takes the kids for the night so my mom can get here. And I get set up with an amazing gyno-oncologist. So if you think you have endometriosis, your regular OBGYN is not equipped to handle that surgery. I've heard
Oh, interesting.
the podcast Huberman Lab. I can't think of the doctor's
Mhm.
name, but there's this female LA-based doctor. She's like an expert on endometriosis and PCOS. She's incredible. And that episode is the best explanation of endometriosis I've ever heard. So
Okay.
she in this podcast was saying that she really feels like there should be a separation and that there should be gynecologists. And sometimes there is to a certain extent, but like delivering babies is a huge thing. And then taking care of female issues, PCOS, endometriosis, menopause, that's that's a lot for one person to.
It is. Yeah, it shouldn't all fall under that same umbrella because they're completely different. Like, delivering a baby and menopause, in my mind, are two
Yeah,
separate
yeah.
things
Yeah, it's
completely.
too much to ask of one doctor, right? So anyways,
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
set up with Dr. Richard Freeman. He's at the Disney Cancer Center in Burbank. He's an incredible surgeon. Now there's also endometriosis doctors that are going to be able to better handle. Will acupuncture help you? Will pelvic floor physical therapy help you? There's more things. But if you want the guy who's like good with the knife, like this guy's amazing. So basically, they were calling all these OBGYNs and everybody's like, no, 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 we're not touching this. Like, this is the guy for it. So
Okay. Well, good.
he was incredible. So I am hospitalized for a couple days. The infection calms down enough with IV antibiotics. I no longer have sepsis that they let me go home for a couple days, and then they schedule emergency surgery that I don't remember. I think it was like that next Monday or something. And I go in and they're like, we might have to take everything out. You might have a full hysterectomy when you wake up. We don't know if we'll be able to do this laparoscopically, so we might have to open up your C-section incision. Like, we just don't know till we get in there.
Okay.
And so I'm like so anxious, obviously, like
Yeah.
waiting to go in. Um, and then I wake up from surgery and I'm like in so much pain. And I'm like, were they able to do it laparoscopically? What did they take out? It's just high as a kite. Um, and they're like, no, they did it laparoscopically. They just took out the fallopian tubes and the one ovary that had the infected endometrioma. And
Okay.
what they found in there is I had endometriosis lesions all over my
Oh
torso,
God.
basically. So I had it on my diaphragm. My uterus was adhesed to my omentum. So your omentum is your like organ that's like the fatty tissue that lies along the front of your stomach. And so
Oh,
the uterus
okay.
was adhesed to that, or the omentum was adhesed to the uterus, and then the uterus was adhesed to the like back wall of the cavity. Um, and he was just like, you were a mess. And I don't
Oh
think
my
many
God.
other
No wonder you
surgeons.
were
Yeah, well, I was in
no
pain
wonder
because of the infection,
so
but
much.
but um he was like, not many surgeons could have done what I did laparoscopically. And I guess the assisting surgeon was like, how do you even know where you are in there? Because it was just such a mess. And he's like, I don't know. I just know, he's just meant to do this. So he wants me to go on this drug called Orlisa, which puts you into a medical menopause. This is post surgery.
Okay.
Um, I did some research and cried on the phone to you because I just was so scared of taking this, and I didn't want to
Yeah,
take it. I
I
was
remember
afraid
that.
of the like mental health repercussions of just like immediately being put into menopause. So he talked me into taking hormonal birth control, to taking a vaginal ring,
Okay.
or inserting a vaginal ring. I was very reluctant. I was one of those people that was like, hormones are bad. I don't want to put I don't want to put myself on something
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not natural. I do think there's like a social media component to that influences all of us. And um, he talked me into it. They I got a second opinion about taking the Oralisa, and the doctor that I had the second opinion was like, if you find you're having these symptoms, you have to do something. So those symptoms
Okay.
are peeing a lot on your period is a symptom of having endometriosis around the bladder.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
Having like diarrhea or pooping a lot on your period, that's also an endometriosis symptom, that it's infecting or is impacting the bowels in some way on the outside, pushing in. Um, so yeah, so those are two. There's like the weirdest symptoms if you go down the rabbit hole. But um, I was peeing a lot after the surgery. My periods were still pretty painful, really, and really heavy. And the peeing a lot part freaked me out. So I was like, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. I'm going to take the hormonal birth control ring. And it is the best decision I've ever made.
Oh,
I
good.
cannot believe that I spent a lifetime of dealing with periods like I was dealing with to what I'm dealing with now. Um,
Okay.
it's so easy. I feel so much better.
I'm so happy to hear that. And it's mostly like localized estrogen that's
Yeah.
just like, yeah.
So
So that my doctor says the same thing to me. There's localized estrogen that I can use vaginally to help with some symptoms of from chemo induced menopause and everything else. But it doesn't help with a lot of like the mental problems that I'm having, cognitive issues, things like that. So
mhm,
for me,
mhm,
it's not really worth it because I don't have a lot of that pain.
mhm.
Um, but yes, it's nice to know that there are localized estrogen options that just pretty much stay in the vaginal uterine area.
Yeah, so the way he explained it to me is that when you take a birth control pill, your liver processes it throughout the day, whereas the ring, your liver doesn't process it, so you don't have the, like,
Mm,
emotional spikes. So
interesting.
the
Okay.
birth control helping endo is, like, very strange because endometriosis is having too much estrogen, but by somehow giving you estrogen, it helps level it out, and a doctor could speak to that. But
Yeah. Okay.
so, yeah, that's my story. It was the weirdest
And how are
timing.
you now?
So how am I feeling now? I
Yeah, like today. And how long? Okay, so from your surgery and everything until now, like have things progressively just gotten better and you feel okay or yeah,
yeah, I started taking birth control 2 months later, and that was huge,
game changer.
game changer, and I feel pretty good now. I have this thing, it's called, Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome. So after you have a infection in your pelvis, I don't this is the strangest thing to me. Um, and this after the first time I was in the hospital, when they released me, and probably shouldn't have, um, I think a day or 2 later, I woke up in the middle of the night in so much pain on my right rib and into my right shoulder, and you, for some reason, get these, like, scar tissue lesions that connect from your liver capsule to the, like, side of, like, your inside, and I still have pain from that occasionally. My doctor said to me, quote, "The next time I operate on you, let's deal with that." I didn't wanna deal with that at the time because it was an emergency because of your infection, so I did the best I could with the endometriosis. So then that the next time I operate on you is like, because
Yeah. What does
a
that
lot of
mean?
and what it means is a lot of endometriosis patients get operated on more than once, that it comes back, and that the
Okay.
birth control helps manage symptoms, but I don't know how much it's managing, um, other lesions coming
Are
back.
you able to get like yearly checkups to see if it's come back and no.
No, so this is like the the bummer of endometriosis, which is why a lot of people don't know about it. So the only confirmation of it is surgery. You can see it on an MRI sometimes, but not
Okay.
always. And then if you have an endometrioma that has grown enough, you can see it on an ultrasound. But it's all really tricky. I'm enrolled in a study out of a university in Long Island where they're trying to find a test through period blood. There's also,
Oh,
I've read studies that
interesting.
they just found that there's, I think it's like a protein marker in a regular blood test can point to endo. So to me,
Mm.
and why I'm talking about this on a podcast is I think the more awareness and, the more funding
Yeah.
endo research gets, the better chance we have of potentially getting a blood test. So, in my eyes, I would love that, like, our regular annual blood work panel is testing for endometriosis. And then
Absolutely.
the next step is that we have a cure, or we know how to better treat it other than hormonal birth control. Um,
So is there a cure other than cutting it out?
no. So surgery is like the gold standard, but it's not even a
Okay.
cure because it just is removing it temporarily. That
Okay.
drug that the doctor wanted me to go on, Oralisa, that does stop it, but you can only be on it for 6 months at a time. So women that are writhing in pain, have to call out from work, during their period every month, they wanna go on Oralisa. They'll take the,
Okay.
you know, the emotional side effects over the pain that they're in. I wasn't in that level of pain, so I didn't wanna do it. And I guess that kind of brings me to this. Okay, so what were the symptoms that I now know
Yeah.
actually was endometriosis? So a
Okay.
few years before the shit hit the fan, I would have this thing where I thought it was anxiety and I couldn't get, like, I felt like I couldn't take a full breath. And I'm like, am I developing a panic disorder? Like, what is going on? And I remember I was with my family in New Zealand, and it's, the most beautiful place on earth, right? And I'm like feeling like I'm about to have a panic attack because I can't take a full breath. And I'm like, I can't wrap my head around why I don't feel mentally anxious. I feel anxious about nothing right now, but I'm feeling like
Yeah.
a panic attack is going on. And that was the start of the symptoms of the endo on my diaphragm. That's an endometriosis diaphragm symptom, is
Oh,
you feel like you can't
interesting.
take a full breath. I know. Doesn't that make you feel like you can't breathe right now? You're like,
Yeah. I'm like, "I've got it. Oh my
yeah,
god, I've had it for
I,
years."
I know. So that's a symptom. I was also having pain going down the back of my leg. I am dancing, teaching dance many hours a week.
Yeah.
I thought I was dealing with that. That went away. Both of those things went away right after the surgery.
Holy shit.
hmm
Wow.
So the endo, kind of like sciatica, the endo can push on a nerve and then you have pain going down the back of the leg. So I had
Okay.
that. I also had,
Okay.
and I don't know that it's related, but I think about a year before this happened, I started having like weird facial swelling. Um,
Hmm.
and like angioedema, all of a sudden I sort of looked like I drank like polyjuice potion, and all of a sudden I'd have like these pop-ups that no doctor has ever said to me that that was related to endo, but leading right up to the chaos, I feel like it had to have been a factor that my
Have
immune
you had it
system.
since?
No, but I do take Zyrtec every day for it. So
Okay.
so endo is not considered um an immune like an autoimmune disorder, but there are many
Okay.
doctors that do consider it an autoimmune disorder.
It sounds like we need more research on it. Is it genetic? How
That's what my doctor said, that he thinks there's a genetic component. There
Okay.
I've heard doctors say, does everyone get somehow this uterine lining outside of the uterus, but their bodies it doesn't grow. It's often like you'll hear doctors say it's not a cancer, but it behaves like a cancer in the way it
Okay.
grows around the body. And granted, like all of this, I'm saying I'm not a doctor. I've just done
Well, of
so
course.
much research after
Yeah.
this happened. You don't know. All I knew was like Amy Schumer had it. And I remember like
Right.
sitting in a doctor's office reading about Tara Lipinski needing to use a surrogate because of endo. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible for her. And then finding out, you know, a month later or whatever that you
Yeah.
have it too.
Right. Yeah, and I know, Bindi Irwin, Steve Irwin's daughter in
She's dealing
Australia
with
also
it.
has it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see
Yeah.
some of her posts sometimes, and it appears excruciating, and it also sounds to me, and I had not done my research like you, that we just don't know anything about it. Like,
Not
other than
much.
cut somebody open and you can see, well, I'm glad that they're able to detect what it is once, they have your body open, but that they're I'm glad you're in that study. Have you mentioned to your doctor or the study that you were having, like, these anxiety panic attacks, pain down your legs? Because those could be used maybe in studies in the future to be like, these could be symptoms.
Um, no, I mean, I think they're kind of like known symptoms. If you were to go to an endometriosis specialist, they would already know that
Okay.
those are symptoms.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that study, and I don't, do you have like show notes or like on
Yeah.
Spotify or something?
Mhm.
So I can
Yeah.
send you the link for people to enroll in the study. They really want,
All
I'm
right.
actually not the best candidate for the study because I have confirmed endo. They want people that don't have confirmed endometriosis. So like right before you're going in for your surgery, that's who they want, and they send you a kit and you send
Oh.
period blood back to them, and they're doing some pretty cool research that we can link a great YouTube video and the link to the actual study.
Okay. Yeah, send me that and I will include it in the show notes. Um, did you can you still hear me?
Again.
Okay. Okay, good. It's like you froze for a second there. I was like, "Fuck, not again." Uh, so was it frustrating for years and years that you were having all of these issues not being able to get pregnant? Maybe your doctors weren't believing you. That it sounds like they weren't really believing you when you were writhing in pain and all of this. Like, how did that make you feel as a woman? Just I know you were it feels like for a decade you tried to get pregnant and you
I
couldn't.
think it was like 5 years. It makes me feel pretty ragey. I
Yeah.
mean, I think like I was already a feminist, but after this happened, it's like my number one. When you take those quizzes, like your number one voting issue is for sure women's rights. It's like
Yeah.
feminism motivates everything now for me in voting and what organizations I donate to. Um, I think hopefully the tide's turning. It's talked about. You're hearing about more. We're actually doing research on women now. So
What would you say to a woman who's, like, sitting in the waiting room and she feels like she's not being taken seriously and she's got this pain?
if you listen to the podcast I mentioned on Huberman Lab, that
Okay.
woman is like her whole thing is like believe women. If women,
Yes.
if you are in extreme pain every month from your period, you have endometriosis. That's her saying that. That's not me saying that. So if
Okay.
the doctor isn't listening to you, find an endometriosis specialist. You actually recommended to me when I was kind of coming out of this and in shell shock and you know trying to make sense of how I wanted to handle this, which drugs I wanted to take or not take. There's endometriosis groups on Facebook that are
Mhm.
so helpful, and you can hear from other women.
Yeah.
They're pretty great, and on Instagram too. So social media can feed misinformation, but it can also give you community and hear from other women that have experienced what you're experiencing.
Definitely. I found the most important thing for me, and unfortunately, Courtney's not here today, but she came out to babysit me when I was going through chemotherapy
Mhm,
once, and she was a big proponent, still is, of support groups because she has been in recovery now for about 14 years
mhm,
through
mhm,
AA,
mhm.
and she's a sponsor, and she does incredible work with that. But she asked me, and she was like, "Are you in a support group?" And I was like, "No, like, it didn't even cross my
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
to join a support group." She, without even asking me, signed me up for a support group. They called me, they texted me, they emailed me, and they were like, "Here's the next breast cancer support group." And I was like, "Fuck, I don't want to like sit there with a bunch of women." Luckily, it was on Zoom. But still, you go to a place for me at the time, I was really down and depressed, but I tell you what, it was the best thing that I'd ever done for myself. I heard these stories just through their conversations and people being able to share their stories. I, found a few other places, other sites that I could go to get some more information, and
Mhm, mhm.
honestly, it was community that
Community.
really helped me through. Yeah, and that I learned, like you, I was hesitant to start these drugs that they wanted me on. I did it for a few months and it caused just serious damage to myself, and I decided to go off of them.
Mhm,
But it was through that community that I, was able to research and talk with a few other people that had been on these drugs, and that was my choice to no longer take them because
mhm.
they were doing more harm than good. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Find
community,
community, don't and,
always.
if, like, there's influencers out there, don't always listen to what they have to say. Try and find the doctors that are actually at the forefront of whatever it is you're going through, endometriosis, in this case, but also if you can find community and talk to other patients, that's really the best way to start
Yeah,
and see, what sites and stuff they've gone, because there's so much misinformation all over the internet, all over social media, that it's easy to get sucked in, and they're just looking for clicks.
right, right. There's
That's it.
community and then there's
Mhm.
people looking
Clicks.
for clicks, right? So it's like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
deciphering between the two and what's actually helpful to you and what's not feeding you misinformation.
Yeah, and I was actually listening to a podcast, and one of the hosts on there, she was also a breast cancer survivor, and I reached out to her on Instagram, and I asked her a couple questions, and she got back to me. I was so surprised because she's also an actress, and, you think like, "Oh, she's, kind of a Hollywood star, she would never respond to
Yeah.
me," and she did. I was so moved, and
Oh,
I
that's
would
cool.
yeah, it's just touching, but yeah, I felt seen, and, that somebody who went through it and she had so much to share that she actually got back to me and she gave me a couple numbers of the doctors in LA that she had seen for this or that. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think
don't be afraid to
that's
reach out.
yeah, the human like good people and that most people
Hmm.
I believe are good. If they've been
Yeah.
through a hard situation, they want to help somebody else that's going
Yeah.
through the same thing.
Well, Hills, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, I guess I just want to
Like,
reiterate that like painful periods are not normal.
okay.
Painful periods are not normal. Painful periods are not normal. Yeah.
Good to know.
And let's just hope that more research is done in this area in the next, I worry about my daughter. I have a daughter. If this is genetic, is she going to have the same
Yeah.
issues? And that maybe by the time she's at an age where this could become an issue, we're in a completely different place and it can be treated better and it can be diagnosed easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like we're kind of making those steps to do so. But again, it's such a shame that it can't be officially diagnosed until you're actually inside a woman's body and you can see it. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll come up with something that'll be able to
Yeah, or
detect it.
just a blood test, I think would be so great, right? Feels like a
Seriously. Yeah, I
disease of
know.
blood. The blood is the
Right?
issue. There should be a blood test for it, but
I think there's now a blood test that can detect certain types of breast cancer, which is
wow.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
At least I had read a couple headlines regarding that, and I don't know if that's happening here or in Europe. It seems that it's possibly Europe or Japan that, or maybe China that's making headway there.
Cool.
I feel like our country is a bit behind where we can be.
Sure.
But that's an episode, another
It's a
episode
whole
for
other
another
episode.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, if anyone has any questions, would they be able to reach out to you through
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Instagram?
It's Instagram
What's your handle?
at Hilary Pawlik. I'll spell Pollock. It's such a strange spelling, but Hilary Hilary Pollock Pawlik. I'm married into that. I'm
That's
married into
funny.
that Pollock.
The Pollock. And Hillary has another Instagram. She is Hikes with Hills or
Oh
something
yeah, yeah,
along
yeah.
those
I've been
lines.
slipping on that one though. I haven't been good about posting it. My hiking
Well,
influencer page. Well, really
yeah.
stinks.
Well, next time I'm in LA, we need to go do a Hikes with Hills up in
Yeah, yeah.
the mountains there. Not
Altadena.
just one of our regular Griffith Park hikes.
No, no, there's so many other good ones.
Yeah, and if anyone has any other questions for us or just wants to reach out to us instead of Hillary, you can always email us at thatwasn'ttheplanpod@gmail.com or reach us through our social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Um, Hills, thank you so much for sharing your story
Thanks for
today.
having me.
And yeah, if you have anything else to add, just let me know. We can pop back on and do another tiny recording. And if you can share the YouTube link, and if you can remember the Dr. Huberman
The
doctor
pod.
as well, that he
Yeah,
could
yeah,
get.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll put
Or
those
do you want me
links
to do you want me
in.
to look it up and I can just say it really quick?
Sure, that's fine.
Thais Aliabadi. Okay.
I got it. I'm writing it down so I can include. I'll find it in you.
Okay. I am laughing so hard that our earrings were the problem. It's
You know,
you should do
I,
like
I
an
feel
outtakes post of us like, what? And then and then us being like,
problem solved. Maybe I will do that. Honestly, I feel like I've had that issue before and I completely spaced it. So I'm actually typing up things to send to guests like, here's
yeah,
the browser
don't
to use.
wear
Do this, do
earrings.
that. Don't wear earrings. Because I'm always like, what earrings to wear? But
Yeah,
when I
because
wear
it
like,
lights up your face a little bit.
right. And so when I wear these, I can't wear earrings because it just hurts. But I like wearing my ear pods just because I don't have to can put those on all the time. But I forget that ding, 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 ding. Anyway, Hills, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for
Yeah, if
having
you want to
me.
jump back, oh my God, yes. And
I
I know
hope
you
it
have
was
so many other
okay.
stories.
I hope it's not boring.
It
I
was
don't know.
great.
Whatever. It is the
It'll be
story.
great. It's the story. And I know you have so many other stories to share too, even like slightly funny ones and short ones that don't involve like surgery.
I'm gonna start a text with my friend Katie, who loaned me this ring
Okay.
light. And she was like pep
Okay.
talking me before it. She's like, "You got this. This is important. What you're doing, sharing this."
It is. I know.
Yeah, I pretty quickly was able to let it go because it's you. I don't know how it felt
Well,
if it wasn't you, but It's like just talking to a friend. I thought that woman was so interesting and lovely. The lottery woman.
Oh my god, isn't she great?
What?
Her story.
It's
Who does
wild.
that?
I know.
Seriously.
And just like her husband, and that they think it might be because he was a 9/11 responder. That's a theory, maybe. I don't
Possibly.
know.
Yeah. Um, well, for everyone listening, thank you so much.
Oh,
Again, if you need to reach out, please do. And Hilary, thank you and goodbye.
thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.